Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my out-of-box review for the Real Grade 00 Quanta. Yeah, I still can't decide if I want to call it the Quant or the Quanta. I don't know, I'll probably just call it one or the other. Just a big thank you once again to MindFenix Hobby Store for sending me this kit to share with you guys. If you are living in Australia, please do check out their site and shop with them, support them. This is a review that, to be honest, this is one of those kits that I kind of dread reviewing, just because that there's so much that you can do with this, because of like the different arrangements and things that you can do with the different swords, and just has a lot of different sword combinations and things like that. And just I'm not really familiar with this Gundam in the movie, the Awakening the Trailblazer movie, and just Gundam 00 in general is just something that that series has a lot of fans, so there's a lot of people out there who know a lot about the series, and I just don't know as much about it. So please, guys, in the comments section, do take it a little bit easy on me with pointing out things that I may not cover in this review. I really don't think you would want to see a really full, like, complete, totally comprehensive review showing every single thing that you can possibly do with this kit. At least from me, you wouldn't want to see that, because this video would be like an hour long. But just know that I'm going to show you as much as I can here, and just at least a lot of the basic things. But just know that there is more that you can do with this, and you can point that out in the comments, but you don't feel obligated to point that out to me, just because I'm good. So thank you. And yeah, so let's take a look at this. In typical RG fashion, that is two-toned in the colors. So there's white and off-white colors, so it's not really going to be very noticeable for the most part. And the blue also has two tones of blue, but again, not all that noticeable. The colors, I mean, basically it's just regular Gundam colors, not all that exciting. I think this is going to look a lot better painted, and just if you just slightly vary the colors a little bit, I think it is going to look a little bit more interesting. Just my personal opinion, though, on that. The proportions, I think the proportions are accurate. They're what they should be based on the design, but there's just certain aspects of the proportions that I just don't really care for. The legs, for example, I'm a big fan of mobile suits with long legs, or mobile suits with thick thighs. That kind of thing is stuff that I'm totally okay with, but with this one it has like really thick legs all the way down until like you get to like here. It's just like really thick, and then you get to here, and then just like thin, and then like there's no ankle armor there around like the ankles at all, so that just looks really thin there. Here at the top, like the waist armor, there's pretty much nothing there in the front as well, so the legs look really weird for me. And the chest, it's kind of going around now, so you're not seeing that, but the chest seems really wide and boxy, so I don't really quite like that either. It looks a little bit odd. That's just personal taste, though. Just a few things, just pointing out that about the design that I don't really care for. That being said, I think this is a really nice kit just from my experience building it. The kit is really super nice, and just as usual with all RG kits, the color separation and details is all really fantastic. With this one, I have to say I really like the amount of details that this kit has. It has a lot, but not too much. It doesn't feel like they just went in and threw in extra details just for the sake of it, like how I think how they did, for example, the Real Grade Wing Zero kit. I felt that one, they just kind of added a bunch of unnecessary details. With this one, I think everything seems to work pretty well. Of course, there's not really going to be much in terms of any seam lines really in this kit, pretty much nothing, so you don't really have to worry about that. If you don't paint, of course, then the RG line should be probably your favorite line, because the kits look the best without any painting. For the stickers, I did use some of the stickers basically just inside the GN condensers, and a couple of like the metallic stickers on the joints and stuff like that, but it does have that full sheet of stickers as usual. Again, as I said in the unboxing, it did seem like less than usual amount for an RG, but again, I'm really okay with that. I don't really think they really need to go overboard with the stickers. So here you're seeing just the basic form without any of the sword bits and everything on there. So let's go ahead and take a closer look here. I'll show you a bit about the articulation. The inner frame, interestingly, is the same inner frame as the Gundam 00, the 00 Gundam. I was not entirely sure about that at the unboxing. I was pretty sure just based on the year of the frame, but anyway, the frame is the same, but for this, we're not using the frame parts for the arms or the skirt section. So the middle of the waist, that part of the RG frame we're not using, and the arms. The arms is just all totally new parts. We're not using that RG frame for the arms whatsoever. So kind of interesting there. But here on the head, let's see, I keep trying to put the head back and it's just popping off. So that's one problem that I'm going to have with this kit right away, is that the head is not really going to look up at all unless I'm doing something wrong. But I think that part of the frame maybe is just a little bit stiff. Let me see if I can get that on there. I think the neck joint does move back, but because of that collar piece and the back of the head, that piece on the back of the head there, you're not really going to be able to make the head look back at all, which is right off the bat something that I'm not really going to enjoy about this kit. But you can see just here on the sides of the head, just really, I think this is probably one of the more complicated head builds of an RG kit. There's a lot of little parts going on in here. We have the clear parts on the side and on the front, and then just a bunch of little parts on there in the back. You have that clear showing through there as well. So the head can't go back very far, can go down though quite a bit, so no problems there. In the chest, of course, we have this gimmick of the parts of the chest kind of opening up there on the side. We have that really nice detail inside of the GN condensers. Again, I don't really like this color of green. I think this should be a brighter green, a more fluorescent green, would show up better for all the clear green parts we have for this kit. Similar to the gloss injected Trans Am version, like we had for the Exia and the 00 Gundam. But unfortunately, it's just this same dark green. So we do have some nice bending here in the torso. You can see bending side to side like that. Quite a bit there, and forward and back you're going to have some there as well. Not a whole lot, but you are going to get a little bit of a crunch there and some movement here between the panels, between the blue and the red there. So a lot of nice things going on here, but again, just the overall shape of the chest I think is just a little bit too wide and boxy for me. Whatever. Anyway, the shoulder armor is going to move. This part here on the side of the shoulder armor will close up a little bit, only opens out to about there. You can see the shoulders are asymmetrical because we have this big thing there on the side. The arms are going to be able to go up about that far before kind of running out of room to move, and it's hitting that part. This is another thing that I don't really like, is this big blue piece on the back of the arm. Looks kind of weird. You don't have to actually have that on there. We can take that off, and then the arm is just going to look like that. Better, I think, without that piece on there. And then we can see some more of these GN condensers there better as well. So we're going to have some movement here at the lower part of the forearm as well. It's bending there, and also of course bending at the elbow, as far as you're going to be able to get it to go before those parts are running into each other there. So overall, nice arms. Of course, all of this articulation you should expect from an RG. So if you've built any RGs, they're all going to have very nice articulation here. The front skirt is just this one piece, so that's just going to rotate there. The simplest front skirt I've definitely seen on an RG, that's for sure. The back skirt does also move up and down. That does have a gray inner frame piece inside of there. That's just going to move up and down a little bit. You can also rotate that side to side if you want. The side skirts are also just going to be really simple in their design. They're kind of like attached near the back, which is kind of interesting, so you can move them out of the way really easily for bringing the leg up all the way like that. So one thing that's great about this kit is that due to its very minimal design in terms of armor stuff on it, its range of movement is quite good. So when we fold the leg here, you can see this blue piece in the center kind of folds back with that. This piece here at the top of the knee opens, and this piece here is going to move just a little bit as well. So once again, you can see that this GN condenser here moves freely. So once again, let me just show you this bend in the knee. So we have that, and that kind of all moves together like that. So no sliding armor here in the thigh, except for this piece that moves out there. But overall, really cool bend there. Just this piece, I think I just don't really care for. I think might just go without that. Like that, or putting something else on there, or just like cutting this piece down to be much smaller. I think would be ideal if I were to do like a completed build of this kit. So again, here at the ankles, they're super minimal, so we got this one piece that is going to move just a little bit here at the front. You can see that just moves a little bit there, but then mostly, that piece just came off anyway. Toe is going to move down like that. We have some separation there at the front part, and that whole part is going to move, and the whole thing is going to rotate side to side. No problems there. Again, with such minimal armor on the feet aren't going to be anything you're really going to have to worry about at all. So that's it for all of the articulation stuff. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other weapons and accessories. Of course, we do have our very tiny, small 1/144 scale Setsuna figure here, just kind of like leaning off to the side there, holding his helmet. So kind of cool. Sorry, I didn't panel line wash that to show you guys the details, but I quite like that actually. It's a pretty nice figure, a little bit more organic shape. For the hands, we have our typical style RG hands here, just from the RG runner. And these come with, we have an extra piece here that you plug into that hand because the connection point for holding the weapons is different. So you need to use this extra piece to be able to use these RG hands to hold your weapons. Then we have just some fixed holding hands, like this here, which will be probably the most useful. And we do have one open hand, anyway, open hand here for the left, which is a really nice open hand. I really like the design of that. It's a really nice dynamic shape. Kind of wish we had two, but oh well. And then of course for the kit, as you saw, we've just got the closed fists on there. These RG style closed fists I've always found to be kind of very flat in their shape, so I don't really like them too much, but they're there anyway. We do also have a action base connector, which you can use for the square or peg style action base. That just slides onto there. We have this extra little stand part here, which we can use for supporting the giant sword here, the Jian Sword 5, and I think when you have all the extra sword bits attached onto it, it's going to get quite heavy, so you can use this to help hold that up. And so here is all of our weapons. Basically we have our Jian Sword 5, which is just this big sword here. This part is of course going to plug into the arm. This handle can move on there like so. This part is going to slide forward when in use. The front actual blade can be rotated like that. I believe that's for changing it from a sword to a rifle basically. Does it fire some weapon? I think so. Previous versions of the Jian sword did, right? So that's what I'm imagining this one does as well. Then we have our sword bits. So the first one is the sword bit A. So we have two of these. Nice long one here, and then this does have a handle which will fold out like that. So all of these sword bits you can use as just individual swords in the hands. They all have their own individual handles, and you can use that like that, but they're all going to combine and do some different things with these. So there's that. Then the sword bit B is this one here, just this smaller one with just a short little blades. This is more kind of like a dagger. And then the handle, as you just saw as I folded it up, and now I can't get it back out again. There we go. So there's the handle for that. Just a short little handle there, short little thing. And then C is just this one, another kind of long blade, not quite as long. Then this handle just folds out like that. So there are definitely some cool possibilities that you can do with just these individual little bits, but putting them together is really going to be the best thing for this. So let's take a look at how we can do that. Bits A and B will be connected together like so to form this longer one here, and then this is going to be connected onto the side by folding this part down like that, and then there's this little part in there we have to fold out. So quite complicated design in here, and then this is going to plug into there like that. And that one's there, and you're just going to repeat that on both sides. And then for C, let's see, where is that? Bit C, again, just fold that handle in, and then this one is going to connect by pulling out a small little tab on this part here. That plugs onto there and just kind of folds into place like that. So you'll just repeat that for both sides, and then to have all the bits attached onto this sort of side pack. It's not really a backpack, because it's kind of a backpack that goes to the side pack. I didn't really talk about the articulation of this anyway. So this is here on the side. This opens up like that, and the white part, these two parts can move separately, which is kind of cool. And this whole mechanism can be rotated around to the backpack, so you can just have this just straight out the back like that, which is kind of cool. When you've got the sword bits on there and you've got it opened up and stuff like that, you can do some cool things with it just like flying out of the backpack, which I kind of like that. But then having it just off to the side here by using this mechanical arm works pretty well. And then the backpack itself just very plain there, so sorry I kind of skipped over that before. But anyway, let me get all of this stuff loaded up on here. So as you can see here, the posability, or the ability to make some really dynamic poses with this kit, is not going to be a problem at all. It's going to be really dynamic. It's going to be really actually comparable to the Real Great Astray Red Frame, because they're both pretty minimal designs. They don't have like a whole lot of big armor or backpack or anything like that, and they're both using primarily like sword type weapons, so I think it's going to be really comparable to that in terms of like the poses and stuff that you can do with them. A couple things I did forget to mention here: the sword bits A and C on there that are connected, you can kind of separate them. While the C part is still connected, the A part can sort of separate to be more out like that, kind of opens up, so that basically that whole thing there on the backpack shoulder pack, you can just sort of separate all those bits out a little bit more by doing that, which is kind of cool. It gives it a cool look when you've got it all separated out. Definitely looks pretty cool. And one other thing that I also did forget to mention is we do have another small little connector piece that will enable you to connect the GN Sword 5 onto the side skirt. But I think the size of that sword attached onto the side skirt, it doesn't really look that good. I think you can do it if you really want, but I doubt that anyone's really gonna want to do that, just because of the fact that it's so big, and especially like the handle, those blue parts of the handle like sticking out in the front, it kind of like gets in the way of stuff. So I think it's too much in the way to actually have it plugged onto the side skirt. But just know that you can do that if you want. As I was wanting to try taking the blue parts off the back of the arm, I noticed in the manual that actually is only supposed to have that blue part on the back of the right arm. And actually there was not supposed to be there before on the back of the left arm. I just, for some reason I hadn't noticed that before, and I just had that on both arms. But anyway, it was supposed to only be on the right arm, so I'll just correct myself there. Also, when you're connecting, or when you're moving the backpack, shoulder backpack thing over back to the back, there's like a small, I don't know if that's like a GN drive, a second GN drive inside of that kind of like connects into the back of the GN drive in the middle of the Gundam, or anyway, whatever it is, there's a kind of GN thing there in the backpack that kind of, it doesn't really connect, it just sort of like lines up. It's kind of hard to see up inside there. It lines up into the back of the one in the back of the backpack of the mobile suit. So I quite like this there on the backpack. I think if Bandai, I think there's like there's like the full saber add-on set that I think will probably eventually get made for this. I believe a third-party company is making that that you can use for this, but as far as I know, Bandai is not yet producing that, but I'm sure it's only a matter of time before Bandai will get around to making that. Now here is what all these sword bits are going to look like when you've got this all connected to the GN Sword 5. Very long and very complex here compared to the size of the Gundam. It's quite a bit taller, longer than the Gundam itself. So another cool thing that you can do with this is, like with the backpack, you can separate the A and B bits out a little bit. Let's see, without totally separating them. Something like this here. Now it's kind of loose here, but I think if you have it just flat and posed like that, it'll be fine. But then like I'm just trying to show it to you guys at an angle, so it's causing that part to fall down. But anyway, it's cool how you can open that up too when you have it turned as a sort of rifle, or we can just close this back up. But these connection points here are not really the strongest, but that's okay because you don't want them to be super hard to get apart. But at times like this, when I'm trying to show it off to you guys, it is a little bit annoying anyway. But let's go ahead and get this on the kit. Now, just because it is included, I will do another pose using this extra little base thing that we have for that, just to show you how it looks with using that. But before that, I did just want to try doing a pose without any extra support, just to see if it is possible to pose this thing like at all in any way with everything attached onto that sword. So with that sword is really super huge. Now, of course, just holding the sword up straight vertical like this is not really going to be much of a problem. The strength of the joints and the strength of the inner frame in the arm there is strong enough. It's able to hold this pretty much straight up like this, no problem. But of course, if holding it like straight out or in a few other different kind of poses, I think obviously there's going to be some ways you are going to be able to support the weight and other ways you're not going to be able to support the weight. So with this only being able to hold the sword with only one hand, you are also going to be limited with having to sort of balance that weight with only just the one hand on it. So it is possible to pose this with that big, huge, giant sword without any extra support on it, but of course it is going to be a little bit more limited. Alright, so I think I'm just going to say, actually, just never mind the stand entirely. I just really can't be bothered. I know this thing is not going to look good when you've got this, when you're trying to make a cool pose and you've got this extra thing like attached onto it. Obviously that's not going to look good, and as you can see here, you really just don't need it. I mean, I've got this up on an action base, so if you don't have an action base to use with your kit, then even just standing, I'm sure you could get it posed. Now I'm sure like posing it a lot and playing with it a lot and like moving around a lot, obviously you're going to start to weaken those joints. Now this is really fresh. I'm really just starting to work with it now, so it's able to hold the pose really well. But I feel that the frame, especially again the frame in the arms, and maybe that's one reason. I haven't checked the shape. It could be more to do with the shape, I guess. But I guess the new arms that we have for this, just not using that RG inner frame, just being all just the new parts here, I think are maybe tighter, stronger than the RG frame, which is good. And I feel it has no trouble holding that sword just as it is now. Now, obviously it's not perfectly straight out, but it's out enough that, you know, if it were going to have any weight issues, it would be having them now, and it just doesn't seem to. So I think it's just fine, and you may need this, but more than likely kind of just not. So that's good news. Yeah, and that's pretty much just gonna wrap up this review. Like I said, there's a lot of other stuff I can show you. There's a lot of different posing options that you can do, mixing it up with the different A-bit, B-bit, C-bit, and just the sword and all of that. There's just a lot of stuff that you can do with this kit in terms of posing. So I'll definitely give it some points there. So yeah, it really just comes down to the fact that this is a really, really nice kit. And if you are a fan of the design, or you're a fan of what you've seen that you can do with the kit just from the few poses that I've shown you, then by all means go ahead and check it out. If you're not really a big fan of the design, then, you know, maybe skip it, or maybe just give it a try anyway with it just being a really nice kit. You know, you may actually end up liking it. As I said before, I'm not really a big fan of the design, but I can say that I'm a fan of this kit just because, you know, one of the things that's most important for me that I really enjoy about a kit is the posability. And if you're able to pull off some really cool poses with it and just make it look cool, then if it can do that and can do that well, then it's just kind of going to be a good kit in my book, and definitely worth at least checking out. So this is definitely that. So I can definitely say that it's worth checking out. Anyway, that's it, guys. So leave your questions and comments down below. Again, feel free to not really worry so much about trying to point out the things that I didn't cover in this video. Again, this is not totally comprehensive, everything you can do with this kit, but just gives you some ideas of what you can expect. And so yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.